Hey everybody, Seth Campbell here with the new Segue Says podcast. Well, careful observers may notice that everything from the camera position to my clothing and everything is exactly the same as last week, and that's because I filmed this at the exact same time as last week's podcast. As you know, I've been falling behind schedule quite a lot lately, a number of things. I do Artist of the Month write-ups sometimes, and I'm still working on the December one. Now that well, by the time you're seeing this, it'll be 2.5 weeks into January, so hopefully I'll have it done by then. Who knows? But I wanted to get a little bit ahead of myself here, film an extra episode to give myself some time to get everything back on track. I figured I'm here, I've got a little time, it's not after midnight this time, and I've got enough energy to film a second episode. So, this week, we're looking at two very beautiful, calm pieces that kind of lyrically are mirrors of each other, and I'll explain that shortly. The first song is by Marc Cohn, who I've mentioned before, I think of as one of the all-time great songwriters, especially of the modern age. It's called Listening to Levon. And the second song is by another legendary songwriter, the Irishman Paul Brady, and it's called The Island. Now, both of these songs are in the key of F major. They're both fairly slow, but they're different tempos, so we'll take that into account when we get to it. Now, here's what I meant in terms of lyrical mirrors. Listening to Levon is a song that Mark has hinted is autobiographical. It's about sitting in the back of the car with his girlfriend, and she's talking to him, and he gets completely distracted because Levon Helm's voice, the now late, great Levon Helm, his music comes on the radio, and the young man, who we presume to be the young Mark, is absolutely transfixed, and his girlfriend, soon-to-be ex-girlfriend, didn't exactly forgive him for tuning her out the way he did. And The Island is a song about taking refuge from all of the bad news just for a day or two, a weekend, whatever it would be, to get away from all of the TV reports of more sadness, destruction, death, war, horror, going out to a remote island in the sea with the singer's partner, and just knowing that all of these things will have to be faced very soon, but just saying for now, for one day, let's go away and leave the world. So the reason I mentioned these don't sound lyrically similar at all, but the first, if you will, is sort of getting distracted from real life by the radio or the media, and then the other is using personal real life to distract from the media, which may or may not include radio. So it's kind of, personal versus external. There is a parallel there. They sounded smarter in my head when I started explaining it, but hopefully you can see where I'm going. Listening to Levon is the first track off of Marc Cohn's Join the Parade album of 2007, which was his big return to new music after his near-death experience. And a lot of the songs reflect that, but this is his tribute to Levon Helm. This was before Levon had passed away. Since Levon passed away, he has added some new lyrics at the end to make it especially relevant. This is a verse and chorus. A live performance I did of this can be found on my SoundCloud page, incidentally. Some shameless self-promotion. I was sitting with Mary in my dad's blue Valiant. Rain was coming down, radio was playing, and Mary was talking about 1,000,000 miles a minute, but I could not hear one word she was saying, 'cause I was lost, I was gone, listening to Levon in another world. Oh, a beautiful, very meaningful and touching song. And when you hear the full song and the full story, you understand it really is sort of a tribute to the power of music itself, as well as the extraordinary abilities of Levon Helm. Now, The Island is more of a solo piano and vocal piece. Maybe a lot of versions have strings, but listening to Levon is very much, it can be a solo piano piece, as Mark has done it on occasion, or it could be a band piece, the way he originally recorded it. But The Island is definitely a solo piece, so that's worth considering if you want to take on this segue yourself, whether or not you perform solo or with a band. You could give the band a break for this one if you have a band at all. Anyway, it goes something like this. It's a little rubato. There is a tempo to it, but it's very loose. They say the skies of Lebanon are burning, those mighty cedars bleeding in the heat. They're showing pictures on the television, women and children dying in the street. Up here we sacrifice our children to feed worn out dreams of yesterday. Trying to carve tomorrow from a tombstone. But hey, don't listen to me. This wasn't meant to be no sad song. We've heard too much of that before. Right now I only want to be with you till the morning dew comes falling. I want to take you to the island, trace your footprints in the sand, and in the evening when the sun goes down, I'll make love to the sound of the ocean. And there's this strange chord in the original version, the sharp 4. But that's neither here nor there. Some versions have that, some don't. This is a very frequently covered song, as many of Paul Brady's songs are. His own versions are amazing, but his songwriting is just so good that everybody from, basically everybody has done his songs. There really, I don't think there's anyone who hasn't done a Paul Brady song at some point in their career. Now, this should be fairly obvious how we're going to do this, especially because The Island starts so softly and they're in the same key. And if you watched last week's episode that I filmed about 10 minutes ago, you'll already know how this is going to work. You have the end of listening to Levon, sort of turns the chorus around. As a matter of fact, I'm going to as you listen and Levon, rather than resolve to the F at the end of the last chorus, you hold on the 5. Listen and Levon. Rather than play an F chord, just immediately start on this piano pattern. And the reason I was a little vague there is I want to give you the last verse of Listening to Levon in its entirety. This is the original version because unfortunately I don't remember the exact words Mark uses nowadays to pay a final farewell. But I want to give you this because the last chorus in itself is a little different. And if I just gave that to you, you might not have the full context of just how masterful a piece of writing it is. And so this is the final verse chorus of Listening to Levon going into The Island. It serves me right if you can't even hear me singing, if you tuned me out a long time ago. And it serves me right if you've already changed the station and you're listening right now to that old boy on the radio. Are you listening to Levon? They say the skies of Lebanon are burning, cedars bleeding in the heat. Now, alternatively, you could hit the last F chord of listening to Levon. Is it listening to Levon? Let the piano pattern kind of come out of sustained ambiguousness. Either way, it's great. Just make sure you leave some space there to let one story finish and the next begin, because they're both such great pieces of writing from two truly phenomenal songwriters. So this week was a little shorter and simpler than last week. Again, I say having filmed these at the exact same time. But hopefully you still learned something. Hopefully you've enjoyed. Thanks as always for watching. I will see you next week.